Ladies and gentlemen, take a moment, pause the rush, the noise, the endless scrolling. Have you ever really let it sink in that tomorrow isn't promised to you? Every breath, every heartbeat is a gift you can't bank for later. Yet, we act as if time is limitless, as if we're owed 1,000 more tomorrows. Let's get real. If this day were your last, would you love more openly? Would old grudges feel worth it? Or would you wish you'd lived with more courage and less hesitation? The concept of mortality isn't just philosophical, it's the ultimate motivator. Like the entropy in physics, everything inevitably moves toward disorder. Our lives are finite, precious, and unpredictable. So, what would you change if you truly believed your minutes mattered? You might be thinking, but I'm not strong, I'm barely holding on. Let me challenge that. Remember, you've already survived every worst day you thought might break you. Every time you got up despite exhaustion, every tear you wiped away in silence. That is resilience. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, the ability to grow through adversity, not just bounce back. Your strength isn't loud or flashy. It's the quiet decision to try again, the willingness to grow, even when safe comfort zones beckon. So, look at your scars not as evidence of weakness, but as proof you're still here, still fighting. Let me tell you a story. Last week, I was scrolling through endless highlight reels, smiling couples, exotic vacations, inspirational quotes in fancy fonts. And for a split second, my life felt dull by comparison. Sound familiar? Social media algorithms, using machine learning, show us what gets the most engagement, perfection, beauty, success. But those curated feeds are just that, curated. Like Photoshop for your life, they erase the arguments, the anxiety, the mess. Don't trade your messy but real story for someone else's filter. Your reality, unfiltered, has more depth than any glossy grid. Now you might be thinking, but isn't it motivating to see others succeed? Sometimes, yes, but neuroscience tells us about social comparison theory. We instinctively measure ourselves against others. The danger? We compare our behind the scenes to their highlight reels. That career win, that perfect family selfie, it's a snapshot, not the full movie. And the soundtrack of self-doubt grows louder with each scroll. The more you chase digital validation, the more you risk blurring your truth with someone else's narrative. Let's choose authenticity over approval, every time. Have you ever reached a milestone new job, big promotion, shiny award, only to feel a strange emptiness afterwards? It's the paradox of success without purpose. We're conditioned to chase status symbols, but like an empty calorie, accomplishment without meaning leaves us hungry for more. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, named this existential vacuum, a sense of meaninglessness despite outward achievement. The solution? Define your own purpose. When your story is driven by meaning, even setbacks become chapters of growth, not just painful detours. Let's get practical. Who are the voices shaping your reality? Sociologists call this social contagion, the spread of behaviors, attitudes, and emotions through networks, just like a virus. Look around. Do your closest people lift you up or weigh you down? Are your daily conversations fueling your growth or draining your energy? You become the average of your 5 closest connections. That's not just a motivational quote, it's a psychological principle backed by decades of research. So, choose your tribe like your future depends on it, because, in many ways, it does. Ever felt your heart race before trying something new? That nervous jitter in your stomach? That's your amygdala firing your brain's alarm system. But here's the twist. Real growth lives beyond that siren. If you're never scared, you're never evolving. Think of neural plasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and adapt. Discomfort is the signal you're rewiring, learning, leveling up. So next time you feel fear pulling you back, ask yourself, is this discomfort a warning, or is it the invitation to become who I'm meant to be? Let's talk about bitterness. You've heard the saying, hanging on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. But did you know? Studies show forgiveness lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and boosts immune function. Neuroscience calls this emotional release. Forgiveness isn't excusing the hurt or pretending it didn't happen. It's deciding that your peace is worth more than your pain. You're not letting them off the hook. You're setting yourself free to move on, lighter, stronger, unburdened. Who could you forgive today for your own sake? If you could see a countdown clock above your head ticking down your minutes, would you waste so many on things that won't matter a year from now? Time is the ultimate non-renewable resource. Unlike money, once spent, it never returns. Economists call this opportunity cost, the hidden price of what you give up when you choose one thing over another. Are you investing in relationships, learning, moments of joy, or squandering your hours on things that drain you? Let today be the day you start spending your time with as much care as you spend your money. Here's a hard truth. Comparison is a moving target that can never be satisfied. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone ahead. Your life's timeline isn't supposed to mirror anyone else's. Imagine running your own marathon while constantly looking sideways. You'd trip every time. The antidote: radical self-acceptance. Celebrate what makes your journey unique, and gratitude will grow where comparison once lived. You're not behind, you're right where you're supposed to be. Now, you might be thinking, but I don't have enough yet. Here's what neuroscience shows. Gratitude actually rewires your brain, boosting dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals of well-being. We're conditioned to seek more, better, faster. But what if you already have enough to be content? Practicing gratitude doesn't mean denying hardship. It means noticing the small victories, the people who care, the beauty in the ordinary. When you open your eyes to what's already here, abundance becomes visible. Right now, as you listen, you are enough. Let me ask, do you wake up with intention or just drift into routine? Behavioral psychologists call this default mode, acting out of habit rather than conscious choice. Intention means asking, what matters most today, and aligning your actions to that answer. It's not about perfection or productivity marathons. It's about showing up for your own life on purpose, even if that means saying no to good things in order to say yes to great ones. The most transformational stories aren't those where everything goes right, but where someone chooses what's right for them. Healing isn't a straight line. It's more like a spiral, full of advances, setbacks, discoveries, and relapses. Therapists describe this as nonlinear progress. Sometimes you feel better, then suddenly old wounds resurface. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. Growth cycles through seasons. Some are about learning, others about resting or grieving. There's no timeline for healing. Whether your path is through therapy, art, community, or quiet solitude, your process is uniquely yours. The key is to keep showing up for yourself, even through the messy middle. Ever wonder why certain people treat you a certain way? Psychologists refer to this as boundary setting, the invisible lines that define what's acceptable in your relationships. You teach others how to treat you by what you tolerate, what you allow, and what you communicate. Saying no isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. Every time you stand up for your needs, you're modeling healthy interactions. Remember, people who value you will honor your boundaries, not challenge them. Your energy is finite, protect it, like the precious resource it is. You may feel invisible sometimes, like your actions go unnoticed. But let me assure you, your presence sends ripples far beyond what you realize. Social psychology calls this the butterfly effect. Tiny actions creating profound impacts. A smile to a stranger, a kind word to a friend, these moments can change someone's day, even their life. Your existence shapes the spaces you move through. The world is different because you are in it, not because of grand gestures, but because of your quiet, steady, authentic presence. Never underestimate the power of just being you. So, what now? Will you drift back into autopilot, or let the truth you've heard today shake you up? Cognitive behavioral science tells us that new thoughts create new neural pathways. Change begins with awareness, then intention, then action. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances or some magical sign. The most eye-opening 10 minutes aren't about learning something new. They're about remembering what's always been inside you. You're worthy, seen, enough, just as you are. Go forward, not chasing perfection, but honoring your truth because your story, imperfect and real, has the power to change everything.